Hi, everybody. I'm back. I'm Shalene, Director, Operations, Oracle Property Solutions, and I want to take this time to speak to you regarding Maryland evictions. Of course, eviction is very hard. However, at a property management company, we are to make sure that tenants are effectively paying their owners on time. And when that does delay, it can cause stress on both the owners as well as the tenants. So I want to take this time to go over the different steps of how Maryland handles evictions. There is a long-standing conversation regarding evictions take forever. Yes, Maryland is a tenant-friendly state. However, you as the owner, as well as us as a property management company, we will help you navigate those situations, especially those stressful situations when it comes to tenants failing to pay rent. The first step is, of course, with the property management company, we want to work with the tenants to see what the issue is. If this tenant has had recent on-time payments and out of the blue they just start failing to make those on-time payments or failing to pay, we will reach out and say, hey, what's going on? We want to see what the situation is to see if we can work with this individual. Unfortunately, if that doesn't always happen, we will have to take the proper steps to start the eviction filing. Now, of course, I am not a lawyer. This is my legal disclaimer. I am not a lawyer at all means. However, I do know how to effectively start the process for Maryland evictions. The first step as an owner or even a property manager, the first step is basically giving the tenant written notice. Once that tenant has that written notice, and this is a form that can be downloaded on Maryland State website to start the eviction process for a late tenant, is the notice of intent, which is I am giving you notice that I intend to file the eviction. With this written notice, which can be affixed to the door, sent electronically through their tenant portal. However, the tenant must agree to this on the lease to receive electronic messaging. That is the key point. And you can also do it via certified mail to make sure they actually have the receipt or they actually obtained it. Either way you do, you want to make sure you have documentation that the tenant was notified. And once you give them this written notice of intent, you have to wait 10 days, not business days, but 10 regular days before you move on to the next step. The 10 days allows the tenants to actually make the payment based off of what you wrote in the notice of them seeking to pay. The second step is after those 10 days have occurred, the tenant did not pay, you will then go on Maryland website and file it with the court. And in this court filing, you're requesting a judgment. The judgment is usually for the amount of money, rent money, not late fees. There are late fees too that you can incorporate it, but it's really the amount of rent money that the tenant owes that you're filing a judgment for. And judgments do show up on the tenant's credit report once it's filed. So please keep that in mind. But once you file this judgment with the court, you have to make sure you to bring all your documents with you to court, just in case the tenant has a lawyer representing them and you have to go back and forth with their lawyer or the tenant if they don't have any representation and the judge. The judge will want to see documentation. They want to see the lease ledger. They want to see how much the tenant has overdue. They want to make sure that the judgment that you are seeking is valid. Okay? And then also the tenant is there to plead their case with the judge too, to say, hey, either something's not right, there's an error in the amount that is on the document to file. Whatever the case may be, you want to make sure you as the owner, property manager, has everything prepared in order to show the judge that what you are filing is accurate and thorough. Okay. After that, if the judge decides with the property manager, then the property manager has 7 business days to wait to file for the warrant of restitution. And that warrant of restitution basically says, hey, this tenant still hasn't paid, and I want to seek premises, the repossession of the premises of the property. So that is the next step. And once you file that with the court, the judge will take about 1 or 2 days to review it. And if they sign it and approve with you, then the judge will order you the eviction notice. And with that eviction notice, you would then call the sheriff department, and the sheriff will coordinate a date to where the eviction has occurred. Once you have that eviction date set, you want to make sure you have movers there to move the items out of the property. And then you also want to make sure you have a locksmith there to rekey the entire property of lock so the tenant doesn't get back in. Some evictions, as harsh as it may be, heartbreaking it may be, some tenants will go willingly, some tenants will not. There's always different situations, but that's where you as a property manager, owner, can assess the situation based on the tenant history. So although we don't like evictions, and it is heartbreaking to see an eviction happen, especially when there's children involved, the process must be handled thoroughly and pushed through just to ensure, one, that we're protecting our owners for lost rent, as well as wanting to get that property re-advertised, re-rented to ensure no continuous delay in payments to the owner. So that's my little plug about evictions. It can take a while to evict, depending on how fast you are with it, but those key steps are the timelines. You give the notice, 10 days, you wait 10 days. After 10 days, nothing happens. The next day, you follow up with the court online. You show up for your court date to issue the judgment. After the judgment is granted to you in your favor, the landlord's favor, you then wait 7 business days, and then you will go in and file for repossession of the property. It's that simple. However, you want to make sure you have all your documents presented in case the judge requests that of you. So that is the streamlined process of evictions. However, there are other factors that can prolong it, especially if the tenant does make a payment or the judge sides with the tenant. That would be the next course of action to figure out what you need to do. But this is just a main streamline, and hopefully this gives you information regarding the eviction process in Maryland. And a lot of this information can be found on Maryland's website, Failure to Pay Rent Initiation. So I hope this video gave you a little bit of insight. And of course, if you need any property management help, please reach out to Oracle Property Solutions, where we oversee your properties the right way. Take care.